So there is one more thing I'd like to share with you today. One more product, RGB-X.io, the first RGB Explorer. And it is not a blockchain type of Explorer. There is no chain analysis possible with that. There is no tracking, no even Google Analytics there. Just publishing and sharing information about your assets. And the reason why we did that is the fact that the experience we got from the first users of MyCitadel wallet was the fact that it's really hard to, you can issue something with Bitcoin Pro. It's complex, fortunately, because we don't like explosion of assets on RGB the same way it happened in Ethereum ecosystem, because it will produce a lot of negative feeling from the technology. So yes, you have to be professional to issue assets today. But when you issue them, you have to share them with other users to play with the technology, to do payments to each other. And while you can do that in a peer-to-peer direct communications like messaging, there still should be a good way of sharing that information. And one of the things that we plan to do in LNPBP Association addressing that is what we call Bifrost infrastructure. And Bifrost infrastructure is an add-on to Lightning Network protocol, which allows you to distribute information about your assets and information about client-validated data and so on and so forth. And this Explorer that I will be presenting right now is the first attempt to play with that protocol stack and something that others can play with. So if you go to the site RGB-X.io, you will have quite a simple user interface with a total, with the information about assets which are already published. The important point here that additionally to playing with the distribution of client-validated information and data with this Explorer style application, we are also playing with the next very important thing, identity and authentication. And it will be really interesting to see how this will work out, because here you have no authentication whatsoever. There are no logins, no passwords. This actual idea was given to me by Paul Arduino, who is a CTO of Bitfinex and Tether company. This concept that you can authorize with your private key and signature, and that is the only way you can maintain at the same time authorization and anonymity. So here you publish assets completely anonymously, but still nobody than you can delete this information. And you have a way to identify different assets, to link different assets issued by you as an issuer to the same anonymous identity. How it works. Let me start with the asset list. So you see that there are 3 assets coming from a single issuer. So it's here. We identify all these 3 assets as one issuer-based assets. It's a useless token, so like different names, useless names for them. You have a table with all the tokens listed, available supply, non-circulating supply, because sometimes you can issue the token in a way that the total supply, total maximum possible supply, but you don't know currently issued supply, circulating supply, because some of the client-validated data are not available to you when there were secondary and ternary and other forms of issues. If you click on the token, you will have more token details about the token itself and about the issuer of these tokens. In the future, there will be a way of reading the contract text of the token. In this case, it will be Ricardian contract, so it's the terms and conditions of the token. It's not the smart contract. And see allocations of the token, current allocations available at the website, because we would like to add later ability for people to get test tokens. So you upload some amount of token to the website and everybody can grab some of it to play with. And information about the issuer. So about the token, we have the token name, token ticker, type of the token. There will be support for multiple forms of tokens, including NFT and identity tokens and so on. And contract-specific information like precision, amount of tokens in distribution, different forms of procedures possible, tokens like renomination, burning, replacement, epoch of replacement operation. So it's all internals. And you can have a QR code with a genesis to simply import this asset into MyCitadel wallet. And an issuer info, which is name of the issuer. By default, it's unknown issuer until you would like to name yourself and provide that information. And issuer-specific information about the token. What was the size of the primary issue, known supply, so on and so forth. Is inflation possible? How many secondary issues were out there? Max possible supply. So this all has to demonstrate what's in there in the client-validated smart contracts in the RGB. And later there will be a way of seeing detailed information about the issuances. Right now it's not there yet. And more important, notarizations. And I will explain in the moment what are the notarizations and how they work, because they are very much related to web of trust and RGB identity and making that trustless and confidential at the same time. So identity and confidentiality are not really easy linked, but I think we found a way how to do that. So let's start playing with issuing the asset. To issue the asset, you press the asset issuance form, and you have only 3 fields to fill in. First of all, it is the same Genesis string that you use in MyCitadel today, and this you obtain this Genesis string with Bitcoin Pro. So I will get some existing token here, any of them, like new token, if I don't have it. Yeah, I don't have new token here. So I will take new token and I will grab its Genesis string, and I will pass it here. The next thing is the public key, and this public key is my ID as an issuer. If I will use this public key, which I used for other assets, I will have this token assigned to the same issuer. So I will try to do that. And next, I need to sign Genesis with private key corresponding to this public key. And for that, what I can use is actually Electrum, which makes the signatures really simple. So I have my Electrum test wallet here, testnet wallet, and I have this issuer. So this address corresponds to this private key. If I will see the details, I will see that this is the key, 600, 02600. Yeah, it's AA. This is the key. So what I need to do is to say sign message. The message is Genesis. The address is the actually public key. So address is not used in signature. It's the way Ethereum presents this stuff. And this is a signature. So I cut and paste it, adding to the asset list, refreshing, and here we are. The new token published under the same issuer. And whenever I would like to add more information about this token, like upload secondary issuances, which it's not yet completed, but it will be in the future, I will use the same public key and will sign each of my requests for data modification with that public key, with the corresponding private key. So there is no login form, as you see. I'm not logged in. I'm not identified. My only ID is the public key, which right now is coming from Bitcoin address, but it can be public key which is not related to any Bitcoin addresses whatsoever. And still I can do everything that is needed. And this solution in this manner is trustless. The only thing you trust the such explorer is that it will keep your data. But because these explorers will operate Bifrost protocol, you will be always able to download and copy all this client-validated data. The same infrastructure will be used for consignment sharing, which will be shared in an encrypted form, and so on and so forth. And the final note about the notarization in this part of the demo. If I will name myself, how you will know that I am is how I name myself. So for instance, I can issue USDT Tether and say I'm Tether Inc., but I am not. So how to make sure about that? And that's how the PKI infrastructure in the modern web has appeared with these centralized authorities. Well, you know the history. If you don't, you can read a couple of articles in the internet and see how we came from the web of trust to complete censorship of PKI infrastructure. Can we solve this problem? Well, we don't need to solve this problem because there is a solution already called Web of Trust. What we can do is to merge the Web of Trust with the stuff that we are doing in RGB. And on the next community call, I will be doing presentation about more details of how these identity systems, Web of Trusts and RGB specific identity design schema can be very well fit together. But now I will just do a brief note that there will be a set of publicly known IDs which you will define for yourself and whom you will trust. So everybody may become this notary. So you can write us as creators of this website, and I'm quite sure there will be much more sites of this kind. So as a notary, you can contact, it's your business, you will be contacting those websites and getting their trust. And after that, they will be adding them to the list of this website trusted notaries. You will provide your ID and name, which will be verified by the site owners. And after that, you can sign others' IDs. And each of the issuers will have here a list of notarizations coming from this publicly known notaries who confirm the ID of these specific issuers. So for those which are not signed by anybody, that you will see unconfirmed. And if you look into MyCitadel interface, there is such thing that confirmation. If I will run here, for instance, I don't have any assets imported, but you see that there is a trust profile, and the issuer information. This will be coming from Bifrost network, and it will be actually this verification status. This will be coming from Bifrost network and from the same system like shown here. Okay, probably I will jump back to the completion of the presentation because there are a few other things I would like to mention. So this website is a playground for RGB assets, including our future tests with NFTs. It's playground for something else. I probably forgot to complete the sentence. It's also playground for Bifrost infrastructure and for RGB-based identity management. So that's all on this RGB-X IO part. And the final two slides are the summary and two things which I'd like to mention as a part of this presentation. First of all, if anybody interested from those who are watching the demo, we are hiring. And right now we have two hot positions. The one is the cool Rust developers for LNPBP association. Those people will have to work on LNP node, NFTs, identity, Lightning Network, DEX, BP node, Taproot, PSBT2, descriptors, and manuscript. So we are not only developing the RGB stuff, we are doing the all infrastructure which is required around. That's why it's LNPBP association about Lightning Network protocol and Bitcoin protocol infrastructure, where RGB is one of the crucial, but not the only one part. And in this regard, we're not alone. We work a lot with the different engineers from Blockstream, Square Crypto, and Christopher Allen, who is TLS creator. So those who are interested in this ecosystem are welcome to join the association, and you can contact Olga. And Android developer for MyCitadel wallet, which is not part of the association. It's a commercial project, and we are looking for somebody knowing Kotlin and Jetpack experience to translate the iOS version into Android. And finally, for those who are interested, because we are getting a lot of questions about funding, yes, we are fundraising, but we don't have time for doing that properly. So no investors, pitch decks, and so on. Just one slide. For LNPBP Association, there is opened opportunity for donations for this year. From private individuals, from corporations. In exchange, you get LNPBP memberships. Probably we will issue some playground LNPBP memorable tokens, zero value indeed. We will have a separate presentation for 2021 roadmap and more about association governments and the stuff about association itself, for those also interested. Today, up to date, we had a number of sponsors who made all these things possible, which I am showing. Bitfinex Tether Inc., Fulgur Ventures, my own company, were the major contributors in 2020 and the first quarter of this year. But we need more scale and resilience to go through the rest of 2021 and complete all these ambitious plans that we have. So you are welcome if you are interested in donating to the LNPBP stack development. Pandora Core company will be looking for investment round this year for complete this product development, the products which I already mentioned. Also, if you're interested, we can talk about that. And final important thing, and this is the final slide. There is interest in establishing a federation to run RGB wrapped, decentralizedly issued, non-custodial, partially non-custodial, but still from a legal perspective and regulators perspective, this is non-custodial Bitcoin. This is done with a special schema for RGB, which is already being designed. And this schema is RGB30. It differs from fungible RGB20 token in a way that with RGB20, you always have a centralized issuer whom you have to trust. Here with RGB30 schema, anyone can lock their own Bitcoins and issue RGB wrapped Bitcoin. So there are no centralized issuer whatsoever. What this federation is about is actually it's for pegging out. So you peg in to two SIG addresses, one of which is your key, and the second is publicly known key of the federation. But to peg out, you basically store your signature in the client validated data passing through the RGB. And when the final user would like to peg out, he goes to the federation and with all client validated proofs, and federation provides the second signature. We already discussed this design since last summer a lot, so it's been work in progress for quite a lot of time, and we got quite a lot of help of different technical guys. For instance, two weeks ago, I was talking to Ruben Sampson, who was analyzing this concept because he's author of State Chains, and this as enhancement and client validated alternative, not even alternative, but built on the same idea as state chains. So this is all going through the technical review, quite intensive technical review. It looks like it's worth doing and it will be workable. And we don't want to do that as alone. So we are looking for those who are interested in joining forces in this project, like exchanges, wallets, cool technological guys. And why we need that? Because this will bring more programmability and privacy to Bitcoin. Much more privacy. You put Bitcoin into client validated data, and you will be able to apply RGB level of programmability to Bitcoin. It's an experiment, of course. So that's all for today. Thank you for your participation. And probably we should have a final question and answer session.
Sure. Guys, go ahead. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Okay, is there something that someone did not understand at all? Because that's like the most concerning part probably for us as developers of everything of this.
There was one thing, and that's the sort of the storage and synchronization of data that is off-chain. Sort of in the Explorer, you have the identities for the owner of the contract. So that type of data. What technology are you using for that?
So there are two things: storage and synchronization, or even passing and synchronization, because it's a bit different. So right now, what you do is you produce client-validated data, and this client-validated data are looking like backed 32 strings with the special prefixes. So when you issue your RGB asset, you do Genesis prefix string. When you do payment, you create a consignment. There are also disclosures. So these are main three structures which are parts of RGB ecosystem. And today you produce them with a Bitcoin Pro or MyCitadel wallet, and you need a medium to share this information. And the first level of sharing that we had was that you just cut and paste them and send over Telegram or whatever channel you like to each other, and that's how you exchange this data. Of course, it's not scalable, it's not very useful, but we need something simple to start with. The exchange the Explorer provides the second level of the same functionality, where you have a place to store them and to take them from. And the backend, it's just a database. It's just a database that stores this data. Of course, this database can go away, can be like, if somebody stores those data, there are no value on those data. So they are anyway publicly available. So there is nothing confidential that can be stored there. And the third layer is the synchronization. And this third layer we call Bifrost, and it will be an extension to Lightning Network. It will be basically such thing as this RGB XIO will be running an LNP node behind the scene, and this LNP node will be Bifrost enabled, and it will be contacting other Bifrost enabled Lightning nodes in the network, and it will use a Bifrost protocol to synchronize the client validated data. And then probably each wallet developer will run their own Lightning node with a Bifrost extension, and users using the wallet developed by this company will be by default contacting that Bifrost node. And this thing, additionally to the pure RGB client validated data, will provide a meta information on top of client validated data. And this meta information, we had a dedicated call discussing how the meta information is different from client validated information, why we need both of them, because there are different security and information trade-offs. So RGB data are the data you are committing to and the data which are immutable. The meta information are more mutable part of the data. Different users may have different views on the meta information. For instance, a meta information about the asset could be a logo of that asset, an icon, and that part is very different depending on the user interface you use. Probably each wallet would like to have their customly designed icons fitting into the user interface, and issuers will be interested in supplying main wallets with proper icon images, each for each wallet. And these are all meta information. There is no reason of putting that into client validated data, because you don't have to commit to this data. You can change them tomorrow. And this metadata is another part of Bifrost protocol. And because of this metadata, we need a way how you can verify the authenticity of those data. And that's where this notarization coming from. And for notarization, we are using RGB identity scheme and web of trust mechanic, which makes it possible for wallets and normal users to understand that the meta information they are getting with the asset is actually information from the issuer, and that they are able to verify the issuer identity and make sure that the USD Tether, for instance, which they received as a payment, is the real USD Tether coming from Tether Inc. So again, layers. Client validated data, back32 strings, with the infrastructure starting from peer-to-peer messaging, going through this Explorer, RGB, XIO, and up to Bifrost protocol. It's the first vertical. And the second vertical, client, the meta information, identity, and authenticity of this meta information, which is also another vertical of Bifrost protocol. So that's the overall design. But we will have a dedicated call for Bifrost protocol in a couple of weeks. It's in our agenda. You can check that in GitHub. We have schedule, and probably we will have more time to discuss that in details there.
Yeah. Thank you for that answer. I just shared a link to the Decentralized Identity Foundation confidential storage, which I'm planning on implementing perhaps, and I'm also looking into the other parts of the ID. But thank you for everything. I just got to run now. So, but thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
There's also one question. Well, it's not really a question. It's a comment from Pantamis. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing the name correctly. Do you see that, Maxim?
Just let me check.
The comment is about identity management with Bitcoin. Side tree, the protocol that Microsoft is implementing on Bitcoin with ION. It's also, yes, an interesting project to follow. It could be interesting to use it to authenticate issuers in RGB2. They released the first version recently, but a lot of work still has to be done.
It seems to me that I had a look one time in the past.
Yes,
into
we
this
did. We talked about this project probably a couple of months back. There were a couple of guys interested in the ideas here.
Yeah, I really welcome everybody interested in the identity on one of our subsequent calls. I don't remember when it's scheduled. Again, we have a now GitHub wiki page with a schedule for agendas of the future calls. I can share my thoughts right now, but it will take some time. So we are already out of schedule. So probably we will leave that to that call. So there is a lot of stuff to talk about in this regard. So we are welcome to join the discussion there on these matters. Because the view LNPBP association is trying to take on the identity is very different from the view that is taken by the modern industry in context of decentralized identity, self-sovereign identity, which is in fact not decentralized and not self-sovereign. Sorry for constantly breaking the rules, like with Ethereum smart contracts, but I'm afraid we have to do the same with identity. So it's not about, we are not trying to answer the questions how to structure the identity or what is identity is about. What we are trying to solve is to stick the same old values of the association, which are censorship resistance, unconfiscatability, ownership, strong ownership, trustless, and so on, into the context of how you can build systems operating with these values over the internet. And of course, identity is one of the crucial things. So our approach is not that technically different or not that incompatible to the approach from the modern industry. It's more like value incompatible, because everybody is still trying to stick in government somehow into the whole identity management, authorization and other processes, or centralized information storage. These storages can be private, but you can have multiple of them, but they will store your private information, which is unacceptable in the context of the values we are talking about. So yeah, that's a long discussion to have.
Maybe a quick one. Thank you, Maxim, for the presentation. I really like the Explorer. I'm just wondering, right? Please correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, once you establish a channel with a Lightning channel with another wallet, you will be able to transfer any RGB asset, whether it's fungible or non-fungible, right?
Well, with the fungible assets, with non-fungible assets, there are very important things regarding the Lightning Network. So while you will be able to transfer non-fungible assets within a single channel, single peer or multi-peer, you wouldn't be able to do non-fungible transfers of non-fungible assets with a multi-hop payments. And it's not the limitation of RGB, it's limitation on NFT. Because the way Lightning Network works is actually, you are not sending Bitcoins to somebody. You're orchestrating a atomically synchronized transfer of Bitcoins across multiple parties. So I send Bitcoins to the end of my channel, and that peer sends his Bitcoins, which are different from Bitcoins he received from me, to the next participant, and so on and so forth. And because Bitcoins are fungible, it's not a problem. But when we got to non-fungible assets, the Lightning Network can't work this way with the non-fungible assets. I mean, multi-hop Lightning Network. But there are other forms of Lightning Network which are possible to organize, like, again, multi-peer Lightning Network. And there is also very strong feeling, which we discussed very recently, that you don't need to send Lightning Network NFT assets with multi-hop payments into Lightning networks. All real-world use scenarios of NFT assets imply that you will use Lightning Network assets either within a single channel or within a scope of multiple channels with the same centralized party, which is issuer, or you will need an on-chain transaction, because if your NFT is highly valuable, there is no reason of doing multi-hop Lightning Network payments or Lightning Network payments at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Then for the central issuer, right? And I wonder, like, when you have like this public master key and then other like public key, public master key, and then you have like other like keys that you derive using HD wallets. Once you open a channel with a single user, then you can still like, it's still all connected back to the public master key, right?
Well, it depends how you define connection. Well, it is related to master public key, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, I think we can wrap this up.
Yes, it's been a while. So thank you guys for being with us today. If you have any questions, you know where to send them. And thank you for being on the call today. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Nice presentation. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.